మంత్స్ కిక్ ఆఫ్ మీట్ డాలస్లో జరిగింది. ఈ కార్యక్రమానికి పలు కంపెనీలకు చెందిన ఉద్యోగులు హాజరై తమ సందేహాలను నివృత్తి చేసుకున్నారు. కార్యక్రమ నిర్వాహకులు మాట్లాడుతూ ఈ కార్యక్రమంలో దాదాపు 150 మంది ఎన్ఆర్ఐలు పాల్గొన్నారని తెలిపారు. క్లయింట్స్ నక్సలెంట్స్ కంపెనీస్ ఒక ప్లాట్ఫామ్ కి చేరడమే ఈ సంస్థ ఉద్దేశమని తెలిపారు. ముందు ముందు మరిన్ని చాప్టర్స్ ప్రారంభించి ఐటీ ప్రో అలయన్స్ సేవలు విస్తరిస్తామని తెలిపారు. కార్యక్రమ నిర్వాహకులు పుల్వామా ఉగ్రదాడిని ఖండించారు. జవాన్ల కుటుంబాలకు అండగా నిలబడతామని తెలిపారు.
మేము ఇవాళ ఐటీ ప్రో అలయన్స్ డాలస్ కిక్ ఆఫ్ చేశామండి. బట్ సెలబ్రేట్ చేసుకోలేదు, సెరమనీ చేసుకోలేదు, ఒక కేక్ కటింగ్ కూడా చేయలేదు. ఎందుకంటే February 14th నాడు మన ఇండియాలో ఆర్మీ జవాన్ల మీద అయిన ఆ హింసాకాండని నిరసిస్తూ ఒక 2 నిమిషాలు మేము దాన్ని డెఫినెట్గా కండెమ్ చేస్తాము. ఇక్కడ నుంచి ఇంత కండరాలు మారి 7 సముద్రాలు దాటి మేము ఇక్కడికి వచ్చినా వాళ్ళు ఎప్పుడూ మా గుండెల్లో ఉండిపోతారు. వాళ్ళకి ఎటువంటి సపోర్ట్ కావాలన్న ఫ్యామిలీస్కి చాలా ఆర్గనైజేషన్స్ చాలా సపోర్ట్ చేశాయి. ఐటీ ప్రో అలయన్స్ తరఫున మేము చేయగలిగిన సహాయము తప్పకుండా చేస్తామని నేను ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తున్నాను ఇక్కడ. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
ఐటీ ప్రో అలయన్స్, this is a brainstorming session since been last couple of years. And we have our founder, Dan from New Jersey. Welcome, Dan, to Dallas.
Thank you.
So now you know what Dallas is. You know how we maintain our timings, okay? So let's welcome Dan with a good... He featured in magazines like computerworld.com. The main reason for him to start this kind of an organization is a very serious, very service-oriented mind. Since 2006, it's been 12 years he's been doing good service to the community. He has been very active in training people, helping people to establish some companies, and he has guided many recruiters in this IT industry. Dan has a very good training for startup companies. Dan also had many conference calls. Dan has done so many TV shows, especially with immigration attorneys. We have 3 attorneys today here. He has been supporting IT industry. He's been a tier 1 vendor to many clients. Now I request Dan to take over and say what everybody has been thinking and what we want to do here. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Raghuveer. Hello, Dallas. That's it? Hello. That's it? All right, let's hello, Dallas. And welcome to IT Pro Alliance. Thanks for making it on a short notice as Raghuveer. It was a pretty good explanation. I think the background is a little shaky. It's, unlike he explained, I've been supporting people, but then he tried to boast it a little bit. We would like to jump into topic before we talk about IT Pro Alliance. Let's listen to the music first and then watch the movie, right? So that's what we would like to do. Just to give a quick background, this has been in the pipeline for a number of years now. We wanted to have a common platform where we can connect the 360 degrees of IT staffing, starting there. But this is an open forum for any IT professional, a consultant, a staffing supplier, like the typical consulting and staffing companies, and the hiring managers at Fortune 500 or 1,000 companies. So we've had this in mind, and then the back office, back end in India. The recruiters there are about 8 lakh recruiters sitting out there in India, supporting this whole process. Do we care? No. You have a phone call, you get a placement, somebody's making their business, and we all make a lot of money here. They make peanuts. So this whole idea started, looking at their problems, how they're being treated, working against nature. Then we thought, let's try to do something. I don't have a lot of answers. I'm here to find out from you, what do you think we should do? This is an open forum. This is not something, the bunch of us, this is not a corporation where it's a not-for-profit. We want to hear from everyone. This is a small group today. We've had a small presentation, kickoff in New Jersey as well. We want to go pretty slow and take ideas from everyone here. Now, before we get there, what we did today, we opened a petition with, I know this is not a time and place to celebrate because of the student problems, the H4EAD problems. So we opened a petition with the White House. It's an online petition. I don't know if it is going to work, it's not going to work. But thanks to, I think, most of the people from Texas, they did about 13,000 signatures today in about 6 hours. Let's give up! Let's give it up for everyone who supported on WhatsApp groups. So we have to meet 100,000 goal. Maybe it's going to get to those congressmen out there. Maybe they will do something about it. I know we'll talk to the attorneys. And let me jump into the topics before we continue our discussion about IT Pro Alliance. I have 3 eminent attorneys. This is not just about immigration. We will continue after the immigration. We'll start with the immigration discussion, then jump into some technology discussions. We have one speaker here, Srinivas. And then we have, I'd like to first, before I forget, I would like to thank our sponsors. There are a lot of sponsors. Sangeeta Datta from New York Life, thank you, ma'am. And we have Mr. Narsimha from Track Talents. Then we have Indian Basera, and all my sponsors, Caitlin from Garcia Law Firm, KNG Law Firm, right? And Kavita from Akula and Associates. All right, now I would like to welcome our 3 professional, eminent attorneys here. Caitlin Garcia from KNG Law, please. Thanks for coming. Give it up. And Ms. Kavita Akula from Akula Associates. So we will open Q&A. So this is going to be in 2 parts. We'll run for about 20 minutes. We'll break it. Have few presentations because we have to support our sponsors. We'll have few 1 or 2 presentations from our sponsors, and followed by a 10-minute presentation about IT Pro Alliance. And then we will continue with the immigration session once again, and then open the floor for questions at 9:15. That's the original thought. But then, Dallas timing, right? You guys pushed it another 15 minutes. So let's make it about 9:30, 9:45. I would like to also call upon Meenu Seth from Duke Seth PLLC. I would like to jump into Kavita about the H4EAD issue. What's happening with the H4EAD's the comment period? It's turned on. The comment period, can we throw some light there?
We are not in the comment period yet. The draft has been sent to the Office of Management and Budget. What happens is they will, finalize the rule, then send it to the Federal Register, where we get a comment period at that point. The time for comment period will vary, and we'll only know when it gets closer. As per the rules, they either have to give us 30, 45, 60, or 90-day comment period. So until it is going into the Federal Register, we won't know what the comment period is. That is the time where it opens up for public comments, and everybody can comment on the proposed regulation. And then after the comment period closes, as per the Administrative Procedure Act, the authorities have to go through each and every comment submitted. So the more comments we submit, the more we're going to delay this. That's all I'll tell you. It's not petition anymore because it is not in the White House. It is with the OMB office.
Okay, now what happens if it's just a trial? We would like to explore every angle of, if there's something we can do together. Tomorrow, who knows, there might be 10 million people who might support this. But then, what happens if this whole H4EAD is revoked? Now, what happens to the existing approved EADs?
So the approved EADs, as per the procedure, unless they send in withdrawals on each EAD, that EAD is still effective. So how we are assuming, just like how they suspended DACA, right? No more petitions, but whatever was existing, it still kept existing, and because it's still in litigation and all, people are still able to file extensions on their DACA EADs. We are assuming it's going to be similar with H4 EADs, that existing EADs, let's say if somebody has an EAD for till 2020, unless you exclusively get a intent to revoke or a revocation notice from USCIS on the EAD, that EAD is effective until it is expired.
Okay, I would like to jump into Binu. what happens now? Since all these, there's a chaos now, the H4 EAD is running out, right? Now, would this have a severe impact on the new H1B season that is coming up? Because, all these H4 EADs would like to file H1s now. Because as an employer myself, I've gotten so many calls that they'd like to file an H1B visa. So now what is the, I think the son-in-law, Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, is going around saying, I'm going to increase skilled worker visas. But then on one side, we are trying to shut off, I think at least 50 or 70% of these H4 EADs are definitely skilled workers. They have technology backgrounds. Now what will happen, what do you foresee? We're going to have another lottery with 500,000 applications? That's what you think is going to happen?
Well, not 500,000 applications we are looking at. For one, it is still in infancy. Now, my definition of infancy could be different than yours, as Kavita just explained. It's going to take some time. It's not going to happen right away, but are people preparing for it? You'll be surprised to know people are not just wanting to file H1B. I have people who are converting to H4 EAD instead of H1B because we're getting so many RFEs on specialty occupation. It's easier to get H4 EAD for now. I think there are some people in the crossfire. To answer your question, would that impact filing H1B for the cap of 2020? I don't think so. Would it impact later? It sure would. Right now, I don't think there's that much a threat to H4 EAD people. To my understanding, it might impact a little where it comes to anywhere between 200,000 this year, 200,000 or 250,000. This year we might see 300,000, 350 if you're not touching 500,000 in my opinion. Next year, for sure. We don't know about that. And again, now we are getting better responses on our RFEs. We're getting approvals now. So hopefully we'll have a lot more enthusiasts who are wanting to file H1Bs, but H4 EAD, I do not see it impacting to an extent where we're getting double of the applications this year.
All right, thank you. Let's jump into Caitlin. Caitlin, can you, the new H1B season is upcoming, right? So can we have a little explanation on what they should know? What are the do's and don'ts? What is happening at the consulates and with these in-house projects, the skeletal applications where they've been talking about notice of intent to deny or NTAs, whatever, right? So can you brief us a little bit on what employers, especially the staffing employers or the full-time employers, should keep in mind before they file these petitions?
Sure, absolutely. This is really important that we're talking about this today because as we see with our RFEs within the last year, availability of work is very important. That's always been there. You need to establish a project, right? So when Dan's touching on that skeleton petition, that's an absolute don't. You do not want to be submitting a petition without documentation. In fact, you might even get a straight denial with that, so it's a waste of everybody's time. So before filing an H-1B, I'm talking to candidates here, candidates, employees, they need to make sure, verify with the employers that there is indeed a project, and then also employers make sure that you're talking with your immigration attorneys and submitting the right documentation.
Okay. Now, what's going on with the existing H-1Bs, the FDNS site visits, the so-called USCI site visits?
Right. So in the last year, about a year ago, we're all probably members of the American Immigration Lawyers Association, AILA. We know that there's been an increase in site visits. There's been maybe 20,000 or more. And in this last month, I've been seeing a lot more notices of intent to revoke. People are going to old site visits. Amendments are not being filed when they're needed to be. And consequently, we're having questionnaires hitting employers' inboxes, causing lots of problems, people getting in, non-compliance issues. So you want to make sure that my big takeaway here is file amendments, and if you're a beneficiary and you're moving project locations, you need to talk to your employers, and employers need to talk to their attorneys and get those amendments filed and get them filed on time.
When I am talking about an H-1B, it is not just an FDNS visit. FDNS visit does happen at the client location. I agree with Caitlin where amendments have been very, very, very important because right now the notice of intent to revoke she's talking about, which we all have been seeing in the last few months, They are not for the recent cases. They are back from CAP of 2016. So they are looking at all CAP cases which are filed in 2016 to go back to the location with which you originally have filed your CAP petition. So if you have used in-house projects or if you have used any client locations, if that individual is no longer in that location, if you have not filed an amendment, it would be next to impossible to defend that notice of intent to remove. We need to tell them what happened to that individual if he's not on that site. We need to be able to tell them, hey, we did file an amendment, or if we moved within the same intended employment area, that we need to be able to get our facts straight before even we respond to any FDNS visit.
We can talk about SOC codes, which one is better than the other all day, but when it comes down to it is under the regulations, there's 4 different ways you can meet specialty occupation. And when you get an RFP response, I mean, we get RFPs for software developers even. You can get an RFP, a specialty occupation RFP on any SOC code. It's then your job to have the right documentation and explain in your RFP response. It's just looking into the documentation, and you can get over a specialty occupation RFP no matter what your SOC code is if you're working at that RFP response.
Unfortunately, I don't agree with Caitlin. I think winning a specialty occupation, first step is to pick the right SOC code. If I pick certain SOC codes which are under the scrutiny with USCIS, yeah, we will get the specialty occupation for every H1 we are going to file, irrespective what the SOC code we are picking. But having the right SOC code on your side increases the chance of an approval on that case. Right? We have OPT STEM, there's so much. But day one, the students want to come in, work under the table job.
Projections for new H1 for 3 years. How to make them that this is going to be increasing for 3 years, the same project?
So just like any other H1B, in addition, you can expect that the service, USCIS, is going to ask more about your company too. Because indeed, you are having in-house work, so there's a little bit of risk, and you just have to make sure you're submitting the right documentation and making sure that you can document that project. So in addition, invoices on top of contracts, and that you can talk to an immigration attorney.
I have at least a few clients who do in-house projects all the time. Rule of thumb, you have to have a project. I mean, I cannot emphasize enough, do not send me vendor agreement. Do not send me, a service agreement. Do not send me I need to see SOWs. If you're developing a software, I need to see your project. I need to see brochures. I need to see your company being, recognized by some of the organizations where you venture. It is very, very important. Those times are gone where let's bring candidates here on in-house project and we'll find a project for them and then we'll place them. It doesn't happen anymore. You cannot send skeleton petitions out. 1, it is bad on your company. 2, there's a red flag USCIS is going to put on your company. If you ever have a good project later, you'll be scrutinized all your life. So have to have project. You have to have space. You cannot be filing 50 H1Bs and have a Regis office. You cannot do that.
Actually, my 240-day grace period is going to complete on March 28th.
Okay.
And my amendment and extension petition was filed after December 21st.
Okay, so
what is my case now?
So after 240 days, you need to stop working.
Okay.
You can still stay back in the country until your case gets adjudicated, but you cannot work.
Is there any
There's no premium or anything like that. You can try hardship to premium processing that case, but the chances that it's going to get premium processing is very slim. Unless they come back and say they keep moving the date for premium processing, which might help you. But right now, after 240 days, you need to stop working immediately because that completes your automatic authorization for employment.
Yeah, in some online blogs I am seeing if I change my employer and filed an extension.
It doesn't matter. Your I-140 is finished. So this petition, the current extension would be treated as a bridge petition. Even if you do a change of employer, there is a chances that USCIS will not adjudicate the change of employer unless your original extension is adjudicated.
Okay, my second question is, with the current situations, the day 1 CPT board is good or the H4 EAD board is good? Which board I need to choose?
See, I'm not going to sit here and say day 1 CPT is bad. as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? As I keep saying, if you go to class, you are enrolled in full time, you are doing everything you're required to do by the college, and as long as the school is showing me that CPT is an integral part of this curriculum, I'm not going to sit here and say CPT is bad, but use it as it is meant to be used.
But
H1EAD, I'm not going to say H1EAD is the best because I don't know when that is going to get revoked.
okay.
Right? So I'm not saying this is better or this is bad. As long as you're using either of them as what the law meant it to be, then both of them are good.
Can he apply for the H1? The reason I was told is like non-computer guys H1, there will be a lot of RFEs, but since he has good experience now, can he apply for the H1?
Okay, there are two options, right? Which field is he going to opt for the H1B? Is he going to be a software developer?
Software.
If it is, and if he can gather the experience using his H4EAD, and we require at least 6 years of prior experience if it's an unrelated degree, right? The other thing is, if let's say if his end client, I just throw this name out, if he works for Merck, let's say, consider when I'm saying is that a related degree or not. In general, if it's an unrelated degree, we need at least 6+ years of experience in that job you're performing.
Okay, thank you.
He can definitely do that, as Kavita said, as long as you have documentation to prove letters from employers, ex-employers, any kind of courses he's done, the languages he's done, and educational evaluation, very, very important. And the evaluator has to understand that his qualification might be different, but because he's worked under, he's performed certain duties, and also he had some certifications, that'll help.
Those letters have to be very specific on what that employment was what they were doing there. So that's going to help the evaluation, and the evaluation is going to help. And you can talk to an immigration attorney if you need help navigating that.
I request everybody to support us and also join us. And Puneet was here. He has been with us. Thank you, Puneet. And was Kiran worked and will be working down the line. And we want more volunteers to join us, help us make this team grow more, and help IT Pro grow more.
Hey, all of you, please clap.
I want Dan. I request Dan to say a few words.
Alright, I've been talking too much right now. But then thank you, Dallas, to make this first, as I said, we don't want to make a ceremony, we want to network here. And I would like to first thank the media. We're not going anywhere, we're still going to continue with the sessions. I would like to thank the sponsors, and definitely the volunteers, and the eminent attorneys who will be spending time for hours and hours now. Kudos to Dallas and the volunteer teams here. Let's have a big round of applause for these gentlemen out here. Okay, we'll still add the ladies. Anyone interested in volunteering? I see some ladies here. Okay, we already have 2 volunteers. Thank you.
And I personally want to thank Kavita Akula. Last moment she's my family and she's here. And also thank you Minu Singh and also thank you Caitlin.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Garcia. I'm an immigration attorney with K&G Law with offices in Houston, Texas and Tampa, Florida. Today I've been able to join IT Pro Alliance with their kickoff here in Dallas, Texas. It's been a great event. I was unexpected the amount of turnout here, and we covered so many topics today, from CAP season coming up this year, H-1B specialty occupation, RFEs, green cards, so much more. So I'm really excited to be here and to continue supporting this great group of people.
Hi, my name is Minu Seth. I'm an immigration attorney, and I'm an attorney at Duke Seth PLLC. We have our offices at downtown Dallas, and we are very proudly serving the community of DFW Metroflex for over 10 years now. Today I got an opportunity, and thanks to Dan for that, I had an opportunity to conduct a seminar on immigration issues. We covered H4EADs, we covered H1B RFEs like specialty occupation, employer-employee relationship, also handled some really interesting questions on EB green cards and what kind of duration we are looking at for the green cards to be approved. I think it's a wonderful event. It's a very good platform, not only for we attorneys to get together and exchange our views on that. I not only answered the question, I learned a lot from my peers as well today, and some really smart questions, and it's good to know that people are so vigilant and they want to learn more about it. I'm looking forward to many more events, and again, thanks to Dan Nandan for bringing it to Dallas, and I'm looking forward to be a part of more events with IT Pro Alliance. Thank you.